Hey everybody, it's JJ Conway. My son has two performances tonight, so I am pre-recording this segment for you. I hope to be back with you in time to actually answer questions before the streaming is over, but just in case, I wanted to let you know why this is going to be pre-recorded. Okay, so let me go ahead and open this up. Hello again, I'm JJ Conway. I want to welcome you to our Power Principles of Empowered Business. For 2023, we're taking things up another level. For 2022, we had the empowered entrepreneur. And so we looked at building your own life as an entrepreneur, building your life, becoming the person you need to be to achieve the results that you want to have. And now what we're looking at are aspects of the business that you are trying to build as an empowered entrepreneur. I'm so excited for you to be here with me today. So let me go ahead and call up my slides. And today we're going to be talking about pricing. That's right. We're going to be talking about pricing. Sales are the lifeblood of every business. And without sales, you don't have a business. In fact, the IRS says, let me say this again. The IRS says if you keep losing money month after month, year after year, what you have isn't a business, it's a hobby. And what I'm going to show you today is how you can have a thriving business by increasing your sales. A lot of times we go into business and we think that we're going into business and we're going to be ourselves and we're not going to have to sell and we're not going to have to hustle. It's going to be organic and natural and fun because we're passionate about our topic. Well, what you're going to learn today are some incredible tweaks that you can make right now to increase your sales without feeling salesy or slimy, but attracting to you the right kind of clients and the right kind of customers. Let's get into it today. We're going to be talking about power principles of empowered businesses, pricing. And in our pricing, I'm going to give you 8 tweaks that will help you achieve the goals you want to achieve. As always, I'm going to give you 2 guarantees. First of all, I'm going to give you 2 tactics that you can, or actually 8 tactics. Let me rephrase that. First of all, I'm going to give you tactics that you can implement tonight. So that means what you learn tonight, you can implement before you go to bed, and you should be able to see results tomorrow, by the end of the week, by the end of the month. The other guarantee that I'm going to make for you tonight is that you will have an opportunity to dig deeper. Now, here's the thing about me. I tend to get so excited about my topic that I either get to answering questions or I get all involved in telling the stories of how these principles have really encouraged people and changed their lives and allowed them to build businesses that let them be full-time moms and entrepreneurs, that I sometimes forget to give you the opportunity. And a huge part of sales is giving you the opportunity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually give you the opportunity up front, so that way I don't have to worry about forgetting to give you the opportunity to dig deeper. The reality is I just don't have at my command the amount of time it would take to really dig into pricing and to answer each individual question. But if you will join me for a very special workshop Saturday night, you will be able to get a huge discount off of the regular price. The pre-launch pricing for you tonight is $29 off of a class, a workshop, 3 hours of intense discussion about pricing to customize these strategies for your business that's going to be sold later for $200. So if you know you want to be in the room or in the Zoom, make sure that you go ahead and jump in on our special offer for that event. Many of you know that a lot of times being in that room, it's a very small audience. We limit the size, not only because I want to control the amount of feedback, I don't want to get more than I can handle, but also because we want it to be an intimate, power-packed session. So bring your business ideas, bring your business strategies, bring it to the 3-hour workshop Saturday night, and you will get insanely intimate attention on your business and on your future. I am so excited about it. That's why I wanted to make sure I put it up on the screen before we got into the content. Okay, so what we're going to be talking today is sales foundation, and I'm going to give you 8 different tweaks 8 foundations, if you will, for your business. The very first one you see up here, the absolute first person you need to sell is you. And when we talk about sales in a business, it really is true. The first person you have got to sell into your programs, into your offerings, into your services is you. I'll never forget when one of my mentors told me, automatically just double all of your prices, double all of your prices. And for here on out, you're going to double your prices. Well, at that time, my price for financial coaching was $279 per hour if we met via Zoom. It was a little bit less if we met via phone call, and it was a little bit even more less if we did a group call. It was a lot more if you wanted me to fly to your location. But some of my clients, they are big names. They are big names in TV or sports, and they need that level of discretion. So I was really hesitant, but I've heard this advice given to others, and it's worked so well for them. Unfortunately for me, when I got on that phone call, that first phone call after getting this advice from a particular mentor, I couldn't even get the words out of my mouth to explain how much it was going to cost them to work with me. I was stumbling over my words and stumbling and fumbling and bumbling. And guess what? I bumbled myself right out of a sale of someone who was ready to purchase the life-changing financial information that was not only going to help me achieve my financial goals, but help them change their financial family tree. And so I realized in that moment that this was not going to work for me. I didn't understand why, though, until I got onto my biweekly call with other full-time financial coaches, and they pointed out to me, you can't even tell us how much you're trying to charge now without feeling some kind of way about it. And I was like, wow. And one of the coaches hit it nail on the head. You don't even really want clients that bad. And I was shocked because let me tell you something. I probably shouldn't tell you this on a call about pricing, but generally speaking, when I don't want to take a client, I triple, quadruple, quintuple my prices to make sure that they don't sign up. That rarely happens anymore because I've put these principles in place and I rarely attract into my life people who wish to pay me who aren't aligned with my values, purpose, and goals, right? But back in the day, I used to have some real characters and I could just tell that their energy was not aligned with mine. And I wasn't in a position to turn down any business. You know what I mean? Like when you're starting off, you don't feel like you're in a position to turn down business. And so you just take everything you can take. Well, that's where I was. And so I didn't want to tell them no. I'm more of a yes if kind of person. Well, eventually I was able to normalize that, but in this case, and because I had normalized that, and because I've put these principles in place, and because I tend to attract into my life the people that I really enjoy working with, the ones that energize me and get me going, I just didn't, I just didn't expect that that was going to be an issue for me, and it was. In order for me to raise my prices and really charge what I was worth, I was going to have to get comfortable with the fact that I was now worth that much. And I was going to have to get comfortable with the fact that some people were not going to be able to afford to pay me what I'm worth. Now, we're going to talk about how to handle that a little bit later. But for now, just please, 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 sir, please, ma'am, please realize that you are not going to sell anybody into your coaching programs, your products, your services until you yourself are sold on the value of what you're offering. The next sales foundation we want to talk about tonight is that there's several things that people will pay for, and we have to make sure that all of these things align. There's a really neat graphic out there. I used to use it. I don't know where I got it from. It was some public domain. You got to be careful about those. We'll have a workshop on graphics later. It was some public domain photo of the Japanese concept of ikigai, only they didn't label it that way. And so I used it for years without realizing that this was a whole study, a whole field of study in another country that someone had stolen, and I benchmarked, I appropriated from them. And it's basically that the way you make money in this world is the intersection between what the world needs, what the world is willing to pay for, what you're good at, and what you're passionate about. And so you may have heard me teach that over and over and over. And that is still valid teaching. But there was a piece I was missing in my business. And if you've never heard me teach on that, I encourage you to get my 5D Joy into Wealth training, because we step through how to figure out what business you're going to start by finding the intersection of those four areas. Okay. But even when you have the intersection of those four areas, there's additional components that you have to have in order to make easy sales. Okay. And so those components include understanding what it is that people need, your ability to provide or meet that need, and the difficulty in replacing you. So if there are a million financial coaches out there are 20 million people who need financial coaches. There is plenty of financial business for everybody, right? But I can't just say, well, I'm just going to hang a shingle on my door and I'm going to have all the business knocking down my door, right? It's not just how much they need what I'm offering, but it's also my ability to deliver it. And if they can find a financial coach on every corner, then they may not value me as much as if they realize, well, there's not that many financial coaches who've gotten out of $845,000 of debt. Similarly, there are a lot of carpenters out there that if you can't distinguish your work from someone else's, you may not be able to command higher prices. And so, if we're looking to command higher prices, if we're looking to make more money with less work, if we're looking to make a higher impact with less work, then we have to be able to find a way to communicate our value in a way that separates us from the rest of the pack. The next thing we really need to understand as a sales foundation is to turn off your cell phone before you start teaching. Oh dear. Okay. I guess I owe everybody donuts now. Oh wait. We're being healthy now. Okay. The next the next foundation for let me start that over. The next foundation for wow. Can't even get my words out. I'm so tickled at my own alarm. Okay. The next foundation of sales is that in order for people to buy, they must know, like, and trust you and feel that you get them. You have to be a likable expert that they understand, you understand where they come from, and that you understand how to get them from where they're coming from to where they want to go. Now, a big part of sales is the know, like, and trust factor. And we've heard this before, but sometimes we may not realize it. Well, I'm going to tell you today that even if you mess up a whole lot of other things, if people know, like, and trust you, you should be successful in sales. So, what does that mean? If you're not successful in sales, that might mean that there's a dead cat on the line. And so, in my case, you might say, well, JJ, you're a likable person. But one of the things that I found out is that there were not a lot of people when I started in business that knew, liked, and trusted me. There are a lot of people who knew about me. It's hard to forget the story of somebody who came home from a military deployment, got divorced, and ended up with $845,000 of divorce debt. That's a pretty memorable story. And while it's a common story amongst military, most people outside of the military haven't heard how common it is to come home to that scenario. Maybe not that much debt, but it is a common scenario. And so for me, I know that people knew who I was. I also knew that a lot of people trusted that I knew what I was talking about, because when you're in $800,000 of debt, you have to learn how to hustle in a hurry. You have to learn how to make money work for you and make it work ethically and quickly. And so I knew that people knew that I knew what I was talking about. But the problem was, as I discovered, people didn't like me. And you might be sitting there today thinking, how come this person who offers less makes more money than me in what I've chosen to do? And how come that person makes more mistakes, but they seem to get all kinds of clients and they've got 1,000 views on their video and 50 comments. And I've put out this real content heavy, wonderful video and it doesn't even get one share, you know? You might be wondering, well, what gives? What gives? Well, sometimes you might be missing one leg of that triad. And so I'm going to encourage you to do today to do some self-searching. I found out in my life that this is a little bit embarrassing. I had known for a long time that my family didn't really like me much because I was always getting jumped on about how you're not normal and why can't you just be like everybody else? Well, you know what? God didn't make me like everybody else. And I knew that I didn't have as much likability factor in the Air Force because I was in a career field where women, especially women of color, just weren't there. And so it was really fighting tooth and nail for a long time to be able to establish credibility in that career field. And then, even in the areas where I had credibility, y'all, most of you know, if you don't know me and you're new to me and my body of work, I am a preacher, and not just any preacher, I'm a holiness preacher. So there's a whole lot of places I don't go that the military considers bonding opportunities. And guess what? It's very clear where my boundaries are drawn in that aspect. And so talk about lack of comradeship and camaraderie and the lack of friendship. Well, I knew that there were a lot of people in my job that didn't like me. And then when I had the divorce, I found out something that almost broke my heart, almost broke my faith, to be quite frank with you. And we could talk about that some other time. I don't have much time today, but I do have a lot to say on it. And earlier I thought I might feel led to talk more on it, but I don't. But if you have questions about what I'm about to say, I encourage you to reach out, because if there's anything y'all know about JJ Conway, she does like to talk. And so when I went through that divorce, I found out real quick that most of the people that I thought were my friends in my church, they really weren't my friends. They tolerated me because they wanted access to my ex-husband, who was and probably still is. I don't know. I haven't seen him in years, but he was a world-class musician. And they also probably, some of them, wanted access to our funds because we helped build a lot of churches. We would get $5,000 to this building project, $10,000 to that building project, $15,000 to the general treasury to help build churches all over the world. Like, we would do things like that. And so, when you are now no longer doing any of that and you're no longer attached to the person everybody wants to have come to their church, well, then you find out who really likes you and doesn't like you. And it really rocked my world. And so for me, I had to realize, okay, they have this phrase. If you keep having the same result everywhere you go, I don't know the official phrase. I'm sure I'm botching this up, but I'm sure some of you know the right phrase and you can put it in the chat for me. If you keep having the same problem everywhere you go, you're the only thing that remains constant. And one of the things that I had to learn when I started my business is I'm the only thing that remains constant in all of these venues in which I try to make sales. And if people weren't liking me, if people didn't know me, if people weren't trusting me, I wasn't gonna make sales. And not only did they have to know, like, and trust me, but they had to know and feel and sense that I got them, that I knew what they were going through, and that I would be able to lead them to where they want to go. And so if you are finding issues, this is one of the biggest ones we are going to spend a lot of time on in the 3-hour workshop that we're going to do Saturday night. This is a big one. And sometimes it's not pleasant. No one likes to sit with that reality that maybe you're not as far along in the likability department, or maybe wait, let me put it back on me. Maybe you've been lying to yourself and to everybody else for so long that nobody trusts you. How many of us have said for years we're going to wake up and we're going to go work out and we're going to get it done? And then what do? We hit that snooze, hit that snooze, hit that snooze. You know what our body knows? Our body knows it can't trust us to do what we say we're going to do. And guess what a lot of people in our lives have known up until now? Up until now, they've known us as people who don't follow through. They've known us as people who can't be trusted to get done what we got to get done. They've known us as people who, like me, 17 different businesses before I found one that stuck, y'all. And maybe you are like me, and you weren't just a serial entrepreneur. Like, you didn't sell 17 different businesses. I sold 2 of those businesses, but you didn't sell 17. You didn't sell 15 businesses. I didn't sell 15 businesses. I flopped at 15 businesses. And maybe you flopped at 15 businesses today, and you haven't found one that's stuck yet. Well, we're going to work on that in a different workshop. But people around you don't trust you yet. You have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, this is where I am, and here's where I want to go, and I'm willing to do the effort, the work, get the investment in myself, take advice and mentoring from those who've gone before me, and I'm going to get this job done until things turn around. Things have turned around for me, and now I'm a full-time entrepreneur, full-time mompreneur. I work when I feel like working, and I enjoy what I do. All right, now on to foundation number 4. You got to make sure you price your offering according to their price conditioning. And I learned this concept from Paul Martinelli, who you actually see there. I actually got the script for my power principles and my empowered design your empowered life and all those classes that I teach. I actually got from Paul Martinelli and Roddy Galbraith, who you see there in the corner there with me in that picture. I learned this concept from him, and he taught us this in relation to how he standed up the John Maxwell team. So he started the John Maxwell team, which is now called Maxwell Leadership, and he took it from having 0 John Maxwell team people to 46,000 John Maxwell team certified people who can go into corporations or go on stage or go all over the world, changing communities, changing lives, changing even countries that we've been invited into. And so one of the things that he explained to us was this, is that John originally wanted to go in with a much higher price point for his certification. And Paul said, well, look, people buy your books in the airport. They get them from the libraries. They are price conditioned to access your content for about $20 a pop. You can't start off the bat with a $20,000 program. People aren't price conditioned for that. So in your world, if people are price conditioned for free 99, okay, as an FREE for you probably don't want to go right out the gate to a $5,000 high ticket offering unless you have the following and the purchase power behind your following to do that. Okay, so you want to look at what are the people who are buying, not from your competitors that they might be paying $20,000 for an annual coaching package, but what are they willing to pay for items from you? And so if you're at a place where nobody's paying anything, maybe you start off with a $9 ebook, or a $9 quick class, or a $9 mini course, or something to that effect, and you step it up as you go. Speaking of stepping it up, that leads into my next point. And the next point is you've got to also package your offering according to your process conditioning. Oops, I made a mistake there, y'all. I'm going to talk about something else when I talk about stepping it up. The next point is we got to package our offerings according to their process conditioning. So if people are process conditioned to spend a month with you on something, then you might try extending that to 90 days or even 6 months. But if all anybody ever does with you is a 1-minute TikTok video every week, you may not want to go right out of the gate with a 12-week program. Your audience has not been process conditioned to walk with you for 12 weeks. And quite frankly, you yourself may not be process conditioned to do something for 12 weeks. I do certain classes, and they're usually about 7 to 8 week classes. And I'll be quite frank. I just, that's about it for me. I do have some long-term clients. I do long-term group coaching, group financial coaching, but to commit to a year of me teaching every week, or me teaching, every other week, that's a little bit much for me. The most I will do is the Designing Your Empowered Life, which used to be known as my Real Success Mentoring, which is a monthly thing with a little group coaching mixed in the middle. I can handle that with my personality. So you've got to not only figure out where your audience is process conditioned to, but you've got to figure out where you are process conditioned to. Okay. The next thing that we want to have as a sales foundation is we want to make sure that we understand our value. And this can be a tough one when you haven't been in business before and you don't really know your value yet. My biggest thing and my biggest recommendation, and we're going to dig more details into this. I'm almost out of time, but we're going to dig more details into this in the Saturday class. The biggest thing that I want you to do is get started. Just start. Just throw a number out there and see what happens and adjust up or down. And understand that circumstances might change and you might have to adjust, but just take some action. Move forward. If you don't feel like you can take action yet, then definitely sign up for the class that we have, which you can do at jjclink.com/pricing. And even if you can't make it, you'll get the recording. But you got to get something. You got to throw something at the wall and see what sticks. But you have to also understand your value. So when I was starting out in business, I wasn't sure what to charge for this. I would go to these real estate investor meetings and the investor gurus would charge anywhere from $600 to $2,000 to $5,000 for their offerings. And what I would do is sit there and be like, yep, don't have the money for that. And so I would never buy anything. So when I started, y'all, I was doing $29 financial tune-ups. Okay. And people were filling up my calendar. And for the first time in my life, I hired a business coach. Y'all may have heard me talk about him in the past. And one of the pieces of advice he gave me is when your calendar is too full and you're too overwhelmed, raise your prices. You will lose some people, but you'll still make the same amount of money, if not more, because now your prices are higher. And so I started out at $29. And y'all, these financial tune-ups were maybe an hour call. This is what I was promising people, an hour call. But y'all know me. I do everything with excellence. So it was an hour call, but it was like an hour and a half of preparation. So now I'm making less than $7 an hour on this $29 financial tune-up. Y'all, I was making less than minimum wage. And I didn't start my business to make less than minimum wage, and neither did you. Once you get going, do not be afraid to count the costs and make sure you are charging your value. Because for that time, I could have done something else with my time, with my energy that would have been more valuable to my life. So I raised my prices, and in that market, I raised them as high as they could go until the client load backed off too much. And then I stabilized at a nice balance that was good for me, good for my clients, and good for my family. I see I had this slide on twice. I must have forgotten to. Okay, good. All right. Well, you know what? I messed that up. I do want to give credit where credit is due, and I guess I accidentally put when I cut and pasted the slide to make the next slide. I guess I put her quote in there, but I didn't give attrition. I do want to give a little quick honor to Rosetta Thurman. You might know her as the Happy Black Woman, and she is actually the first person who inspired me that I could be full time teaching classes online. She taught this class like about 5 or 6 different ways that you could replace your income in 12 months. And I was like, well, wait a second. I can do that because I've done a lot of things that generate income. And so let me go ahead and put that back up. I'll have to redo this and edit it later, but that I've seen it in other places, but the first time I heard this concept was from Rosetta Thurman. All right. Principle number 7 is to have an offer, better yet, have a journey. And so earlier we talked about having something to sell, right? Earlier we talked about having something to sell, and we talked about making sure that you priced your offering according to their price conditioning and their process conditioning, and also making sure you priced it according to your process conditioning so you don't sign people up for something that you're too overwhelmed to provide, right? So when it comes to having something to sell, I want to encourage you, actually have something to sell. You may not have anything right now, but put something together. Can you brainstorm real quick about maybe a 5 or 10 minute video you can make that would encourage somebody, and maybe make it for $1 or $2 or $5? I mean, just to test the waters, and send it to a friend. And if you feel uncomfortable with pricing, maybe you make it a charity fundraiser. But have something. Have something. You got to have something. And if you have people sign up for your free thing, have something that after they're done with that free lead magnet, after they put their email in or put their phone number in or click the link to download it, take them to a screen that says 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, whatever it is, $39.99, whatever it is at your price points that they will buy. That's why I say make sure you have an offer, or better yet, have a journey. I love the concept of a buyer's journey. I wish I would have learned it earlier in my career, but hey, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. So we're going to plant some trees right now. If you don't have a customer's journey, buyer's journey, value ladder, I've heard it called all kinds of different names. One thing you are going to do in your business today is you are going to sit down and you're going to write about 3 or 4 different ways that you can, well, that's pretty snazzy there. Oh my goodness. You're going to write down about 3 or 4 different ways that you can create a buyer's journey. So maybe they're new to you in your body of work. Maybe you create a $9 class. A $9 class to help them solve a problem that they have in their life and that you're uniquely qualified to solve. You can simply talk it. My initial classes were all phone classes. They were all audio. They weren't even video. So just find something and get started. Maybe you can write a book. Maybe you're more better with writing than speaking. Write a book, write a series of infographics, solve a problem, charge them for solving the problem. Then add something to that, like maybe, how about 30 minutes you sit down with them and help them solve the problem, and then increase the zeros. So instead of $9, maybe now it's $90, $99, maybe it's $39, maybe it's $49. Okay. Then maybe you want to do a private group coaching thing. Just keep making the ladder. Group coaching, private coaching. Make some different areas, make some different price points that serve people in their different places of need, and see what works for the people that you have in your audience. And finally, this is a big one. Don't ambush the sale. Ed DaCosta, who was a founding member of the John Maxwell team, he said that you want their business. The position you want to take is that you want their business, but you don't need their business. Okay. And I love that, because hungry salespeople smell funny. Let me say that again. Hungry salespeople smell funny. They give off a different vibe. When you are desperate for that business, you give off a different vibe, rather than, I really want to help you, and I know that the best way to help you is to sell you into my product, because what I offer is going to be better than the next person you're going to meet who's going to high pressure sales you into something else that's not going to change your life the way my content will. And so you want the sale, but you don't want to ambush the sale by giving off this vibe that you got to have it, you got to get them in now. If they're not right for you, trust me, you don't want that sale. All right. I think that's about all that we have time for today. But if you want more information on pricing, okay, if you want more information on pricing, I want to encourage you to get into the class. Apparently, I don't have a slide for it. Whoops. Talk about sales. I just messed up my own sales thing, but you can you can go to the link there at the thing, jjclink.com/pricing. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and see if I can drop it in the chat. You can go to the link there, jjclink.com/pricing. You can go ahead and get yourself into this class. 3 hours. 3 hours going to be me, you, and a few small handful of our closest internet friends, and we are going to work on our businesses. I'm going to lead you through in detail of these processes. I'm going to tell you real life, real world stories of how my mentors poured into me and helped me get my life straight when it came to business and sales, and how they helped me get my head together about the fact that I was reluctant to sell in the first place. So this is the lifeblood of your business. If you have sales coming in, then it frees you from the stress of being worried about paying your bills, worried about this, worried about that. If you have sales coming in, it also helps you look more objectively at your business, because now you're not so stressed and you're not so scrapping for every little thing, and you're not as tempted to take on clients or venues or ventures that are misaligned with who you are and whose you are. So you got to be in this pricing, in this pricing you got to be in this pricing thing. And again, just like Ed says, I'm going to record it whether you're there or not. I'm going to sell it whether you're there or not. I am going to have a wonderful time, and the people who come live, they are going to have leaps and bounds, 10x, 100x, 1000x growth in their business. I hope that you're one of them. And if not, I hope you'll come back and get the class. But y'all know me. I'm a financial planner. I want you to save money and get it at its cheapest price. So it's going to be a $200 class, probably $199 is probably what we'll put it out for. And it's going to be only $29. If you get it between now and Saturday night, you'll be able to get in the Zoom room. And I hope that you will enjoy that. This is part of a larger series that we're doing on designing your empowered business, power principles of an empowered business. And I hope that you will join me next month as we continue to talk about these things, and that you will continue to grow as we all build wealth together. Y'all take care and be blessed.